On the top, you will see some writing, and it is called Paleo Hebrew writing on the menorah. And this was invented or given to man 1,000 years before Jesus Christ. Now, on the bottom, you see the Star of Remphan, and we call it the Star of David, and it is not. And we will see that what we call Hebrew writing today is not Hebrew at all. It was invented in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Did you hear that? Modern day writing, which we call Hebrew writing, was barely invented about 130 to 150 years ago, give or take. Now that's amazing to me. That's amazing to me how we call this writing Hebrew writing, and it's not Hebrew writing at all. Nobody in the Bible used this modern Hebrew writing. So we have a fake language made up that is called Hebrew, and it's so interesting because we also have a people who are European, white people, who call themselves Hebrew as well. Now, these are the people that are occupying the land right now, and I'm not backing up any war. I think all war is horrible. I don't think any of it is called for. But with that being said, this is a separate subject. Now, they use a star in which is referred to as the Star of Remphan, another god, small g, in Acts 7:43, and they use a writing that was made up very, very recently. None of it's Hebrew. None of it is Hebrew. Not the people, not the writing, not the symbolism. And I don't even think it's the land. You know why that is? Is because not around, exactly the same time that this fake writing that is called Hebrew was made up, about 100, 120, 130 years ago or so, the continent of Africa was divided by 13 European nations. 13 is quite the interesting number because the 13th letter of the alphabet is M. And we know that a lot of this stems, if not all of it, to the Freemasons. Africa was divided by 13 European nations. Isn't there a prophecy in the book of Joel where it talks about God's land being parted? Everybody is associating that with what is going on today. This sliver of land that has been parted. But nobody thinks about what happened in the early 1900s and the connection with the fake language and the fake people. Is it possible that the land itself is even fake? Well, I know that all of the animals and rainforest and the diamonds come from Africa. That is where the Garden of Eden is. So it would make sense that that is God's land, the entire continent of Africa. Now, some people say that the modern state of Israel was actually part of Africa. Now, I'm not ruling that out as a possibility that it was actually a part of Africa. However, a lot of people believe that that is not even the land, that is just the Middle East. But either way, it is easily seen that along with the fake language that was created about 130 years ago, we got a fake people, and the modern state of Israel was not put together by God, but rather by the United Nations and Mr. Rothschild. And in 1948, the amazing thing that actually happened, that was actually, to me, unlawful was apartheid. And what was apartheid? Well, the people who were claiming to be Israelites kicked out all of the people that are called Palestinians. And there was killing and there was barbarism. That's what actually happened in 1948 is apartheid. But why isn't the Christian church talking about this? Number one is because they're brainwashed. And number two is when they find out about these truths, they're afraid. They don't have the courage to speak the truth about this because there's this overwhelming wave of ignorance in Christianity and deception that if you were to turn around and go upstream, you might not be peer reviewed so good, right? That's when the battle starts. That's when you have to get people with no backing, not big money, not big followings, people like me, people like some of you, to actually speak out and let these truths be known. I'll leave you all with this one last piece of damning evidence and proof that everything that I'm saying is accurate. And you can look this up yourself. We must make it very clear that the paternal Israelite lineage, E1B1A, is the most important lineage of the Israelites. But we can conclude the maternal haplogroups of L2 and L3. E1B1A must be the standard for determining whether or not a male is a descendant of the biblical Israelites. No individuals shared in MSY haplotype, with the majority of individuals having haplotypes belonging to haplogroup E1B1A. This haplogroup is commonly found among present-day sub-Saharan Africans and African Americans, and is associated with the spread of Bantu-speaking populations in West Africa. How often do you hear that from Christians, guys? That the majority of the true descendants of the Israelites are sub-Saharan African and African American. They never say this. Christianity never says this. Either because they don't know or because they're scared to. Now, how is this possible? Because how is what we are seeing and what I just read to you even possible unless there's a massive deception going on? Because never, ever, 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 when we see people who are claiming to be the descendants of the Israelites, we don't ever see any black ones. It's always white European people with the curls and the top hats and the beards. How is this possible unless there's a massive delusion going on right now that has actually been in the works for over 100 years? As you saw, there was a fake language invented called Hebrew, and the rest of the fake things just came along with it.